Rain over the red bridge. The rain had been falling since dawn, an endless curtain of silver threads weaving across the city skyline. Eun-woo stood at the mouth of the narrow street that led to the red bridge, its arch barely visible through the mist. 1 year. Exactly 1 year since that day. He had tried to tell himself it was just another date on the calendar, that the red bridge was just another landmark in a city too big for sentimentality. But his heart refused to listen. It pulsed with memory, sharper, heavier, as if each drop of rain was counting down to this very moment. He tightened his coat around him, the damp air clinging to his skin. His shoes splashed through shallow puddles, each step an echo of the one he'd taken 12 months ago when he walked away. When she had begged him to stay. Moon Ga-young had been waiting for him at the far end of the red bridge, her hair plastered to her face from the downpour. She wasn't supposed to be there, he had asked for space, had made it clear that their paths had diverged, but still, she came. Her eyes had searched for him the moment she saw his silhouette emerge from the rain. Eun-woo. Her voice cracked against the wind. Please, just listen to me. He remembered stopping in the middle of the bridge, his hands buried in his pockets, his jaw tight. He couldn't let her see how much he wanted to run into her arms, how much he wanted to believe whatever she would say. But pride, fear, and the damage between them kept his feet rooted. It's not that simple, Ga-young, he had replied. It is, she shouted over the rain. It's only simple if you stop fighting me, stop shutting me out. I'm still here. I'm not giving up. Her voice trembled not from the cold, but from desperation. And yet, he turned away. The sound of her sobs had followed him as he left, mingling with the rain until he could no longer tell which was which. The paint on the iron rails had begun to peel. Rainwater traced along the cracks like veins. The place felt suspended in time, holding the memory of that night as if the city had conspired to preserve it for him. He stopped halfway across, staring down at the black water swirling beneath. The sound of footsteps interrupted his thoughts. Light but steady, coming from the opposite side of the bridge. Through the haze, a tall figure emerged, umbrella in hand, dark coat pressed against the wind. The man stopped a few paces away, lowering the umbrella just enough for Eun-woo to see his face. Xiao Zhan. Eun-woo blinked. Of all the people he might have expected to find here, Xiao Zhan wasn't one of them. I thought I'd be alone today, Eun-woo said quietly, the words more to himself than to the other man. Xiao Zhan studied him for a moment, his expression unreadable. I thought the same. Neither spoke for a while. The rain did the talking, pattering against the bridge, the water below, the umbrellas above their heads. Finally, Eun-woo asked, "Why are you here?" "The same reason you are," Xiao Zhan said. "Because this bridge holds something I can't let go of." Eun-woo's brow furrowed. "Ha!" Xiao Zhan's gaze softened, but there was a flicker of pain there. "Moon Ga-young," he said simply. The name hit Eun-woo's chest like a stone dropped into deep water. "I knew her long before you did," Xiao Zhan continued. "We met when she was in Beijing for a short project. She was different then. Bright, curious, always asking questions about the smallest things. We stayed in touch, but when she came back here, she stopped replying. I didn't know why until I heard about you too." Eun-woo swallowed. "And you?" "I didn't come between you," Xiao Zhan said. "That wasn't my place. But the day you left her here," he paused, glancing at the wet planks beneath their feet, "she called me. I'd never heard her voice like that before. She asked me if I thought love could survive silence." Eun-woo's throat tightened. "What did you tell her?" "I told her yes. But I was wrong. She came to me 3 months later," Xiao Zhan said, his voice almost lost under the rain. "Not to be with me, but because she had nowhere else to go. She talked about you, even then. How you used to walk her home from the bookstore. How you remembered the exact shade of her favorite lipstick. How you—" "Stop," Eun-woo said sharply. His hands clenched in his pockets. Xiao Zhan's eyes held his. "I'm not here to make you feel worse. I'm here because she's gone." The words were a punch to the gut. Gone. She left the city 2 months ago. No forwarding address. No one knows where. I thought, maybe if I came here today, I'd see her. Or maybe I'd see you. I guess I was half right. The rain grew heavier, the world beyond the bridge dissolving into a blur of grey. Eunwoo turned to face the water, his mind replaying the way she had looked that night, her hair dripping, her eyes wide, her voice breaking. He had thought walking away was the right choice. That giving her distance was mercy. Now, he wondered if it had been cowardice. You know, Xiaozhan said, stepping closer, she told me once that this bridge was where she decided she was still alive. Eunwoo's eyes flicked to him. She said standing here in the rain with you, even when you wouldn't turn around, was proof she could still feel something real. That's why she kept coming back. A long silence stretched between them. Eunwoo spoke first. What would you do, if you could see her again? Xiaozhan gave a faint, almost bitter smile. Tell her I'm sorry for not being enough of a friend to keep her from breaking. And if she wanted more than friendship? Eunwoo asked. That's not for me to want anymore, Xiaozhan said quietly. What about you? Eunwoo let the question hang in the air. What would he do? Run to her? Fall to his knees? Or stand frozen, too late yet again? The truth was, he didn't know. All he knew was that the ache in his chest hadn't dulled in a year, it had sharpened, like rain carving stone. The downpour slowed to a drizzle, the sky softening to pale silver. A faint mist rose from the river. For a brief moment, Eunwoo imagined seeing her walking toward them, her coat clutched tight, her steps quick, her eyes locking on his. But it was only a woman with a red umbrella, a stranger crossing without a glance. Xiaozhan turned away first. Take care of yourself, Eunwoo. You too, Eunwoo replied, though his voice was barely above a whisper. As Xiaozhan's figure faded into the fog, Eunwoo remained on the bridge, his hands gripping the wet railing. Somewhere, he believed, she was still walking in the rain. Somewhere, the sound of her voice still echoed. Please, just listen to me. And somewhere inside him, that plea was still unanswered. The rain didn't fall, it pressed, heavy and deliberate, against the city, as if trying to wash away the weight of the past. Eunwoo's hands stayed buried in the deep pockets of his coat as he crossed the narrow street leading to the Red Bridge. The world felt muffled, softened by mist, but inside him the noise was deafening. Every step brought him closer to the place where his life had pivoted without warning. It wasn't just a bridge. It was a wound carved into the city, into him. 1 year ago. The wind had been cruel that night, carrying the rain sideways and making the iron rails of the Red Bridge slick beneath his palms. Moon Ga-young had stood at the far end, hair clinging to her cheeks, eyes burning with something between fury and heartbreak. Her voice had cut through the downpour, raw and trembling. Please, just listen to me. The bridge had seemed too long, too open, too exposed for the conversation she wanted to have. He could still remember the feel of the wet boards beneath his shoes as he stopped halfway, refusing to close the distance. It's not that simple, Ga-young, he had called back. It is. Her hands had curled into fists at her sides. You're the one making it complicated. You're the one walking away without even, her voice cracked. Without even trying to hear me. 1,000 things had fought to leap from his throat, confessions, regrets, fears, but pride and hurt were faster. So he turned. He didn't see her fall to her knees behind him. He didn't see her clutch the railing like it was the only thing keeping her upright. But he had heard her sobs. And he had kept walking. The sound of footsteps broke his trance, measured, deliberate. Through the shifting veil of rain, a tall figure appeared from the opposite side, umbrella tilted against the wind. Xiaozhan. Eunwoo's eyes narrowed slightly. I didn't expect to see you here, Eunwoo said, voice low. I didn't expect to see anyone, Xiaozhan replied, his gaze calm but unreadable. Least of all you. The air between them held an unspoken tension. Not rivalry exactly, but something heavier, a shared history neither had chosen but both carried. Why are you here? Eunwoo asked finally. Xiaozhan's eyes flicked to the wet planks beneath their feet. Because this bridge keeps me awake at night. Eunwoo's jaw tightened. Because of her. Xiaozhan didn't flinch. Because of Moon Ga-young. Her name felt dangerous in the air, as though saying it might summon her, or break them both. I knew her before you did, Xiaozhan continued, his voice softened by the rain. When she came to Beijing for a project. She was different then. She laughed easily. She'd ask questions about everything, the street food, the old alleyways, the way the city smelled after a storm. We kept in touch. Eunwoo stayed silent. But then, Xiaozhan said, she came back here. Stopped replying to my messages. I didn't understand why until I heard about you. A faint ache bloomed in Eunwoo's chest, but he didn't let it show. I didn't come between you, Xiaozhan said. But the day you left her here, he glanced at the water below. She called me. Asked if I thought love could survive silence. Eunwoo's voice was barely audible. And what did you tell her? I told her yes. Xiaozhan's mouth curved into something almost like a smile, but sadder. I was wrong. The rain shifted to a fine mist, clinging to their hair and lashes. She came to see me 3 months later, Xiaozhan said, his eyes fixed somewhere far beyond the bridge. Not to be with me. Just because she had nowhere else to go. But even then, his voice wavered. Even then, she talked about you. How you'd wait outside the bookstore until she finished her shift. How you knew her favorite lipstick shade without ever asking. How you... Stop, Eunwoo cut in sharply. Xiaozhan met his eyes. You don't want to hear it, but you need to. You left her here, Eunwoo. You let her drown in that rain alone. The words landed like stones, each one sinking deeper into the cold water inside Eunwoo's chest. Then came the blow he didn't expect. She's gone, Xiaozhan said. Eunwoo's breath caught. Gone. She left the city 2 months ago. No one knows where. No family here, no friends to trace. I thought, maybe she'd come back today. Or maybe I'd see you instead. He gave a short, humorless laugh. Looks like I was half right. The bridge seemed to stretch endlessly between them, not in distance but in memory. Eunwoo stared at the water, his reflection breaking apart with every ripple. If you could see her again, he said slowly, what would you say? Xiaozhan's voice was quiet. I'd tell her I'm sorry I wasn't enough of a friend to stop her from breaking. And if she wanted more than friendship? Eunwoo pressed. That's not for me to want anymore, Xiaozhan replied. What about you? The question hung between them like the mist. Eunwoo didn't answer. The drizzle eased, leaving the air thick and damp. A faint glow from a distant street lamp bled across the wet boards. For a heartbeat, Eunwoo imagined her walking toward them again, coat pulled tight, eyes locking on his, the kind of look that erases time. But it was only a stranger with a red umbrella, passing without a glance. Xiaozhan turned to leave, his footsteps muffled. Take care of yourself, Eunwoo. You too, Eunwoo murmured, though the words tasted hollow. When Eunwoo was alone again,